Since we want to follow aspirational ethics, let's look at the 6 moral principles that form the foundation of functioning at the highest ethical level as a professional. Start with autonomy, the promotion of self-determination, or the freedom of clients to choose their own direction. Respect for autonomy entails acknowledging the right of another to choose and act in accordance with his or her wishes, and the professional behaves in a way that enables this right of another person. It promotes Western values of individualism, independence, interdependence, self-determination, and making choices for oneself. We need to explore how clients view their own priorities. Non-maleficence. This means avoiding harm, which includes refraining from actions that risk hurting clients. Professionals have a responsibility to avoid engaging in practices that cause harm or have the potential to result in harm. Culturally, traditional diagnostic practices can be inappropriate for certain cultural groups. We're going to talk a little bit about this in Chapter 4 when we talk about culture. We need to develop cultural awareness and sensitivity in using assessment, diagnostic, and treatment procedures. Beneficence. Promoting good for others. Ideally, counseling contributes to the growth and development of clients within their cultural context. Interventions should lead to the growth and development of our clients. Justice. Fairness means providing equal treatment to all people. Everyone is entitled to equal access to mental health services. Fidelity. Professionals make honest promises and honor their commitments to those they serve. We must develop trust in our relationships, keep commitments to our clients. Fidelity involves creating a trusting and therapeutic relationship whereby people can search for their own solutions. Veracity. This simply means truthfulness. Unless counselors are truthful with their clients, the trust required to form a good working relationship will not develop. Informed consent is part of being truthful with clients, and we'll talk about that also in another chapter. Here's some simple guidelines about steps in making ethical decisions. When making ethical decisions, just ask yourself, what values should I rely on? What values do I hold? How do my values affect my work with clients? Why do I hold certain values? When we move into Chapter 3, you'll understand this a lot better. As a practitioner, your feelings will likely influence how you interpret both your client's behavior and your own behavior. An integral part of recognizing and working through an ethical concern is discussing your beliefs and values, motivations, feelings, and actions with a supervisor or a colleague. In the process of making the best ethical decision, it's also wise to involve your clients as fully as possible. Your chapter describes different models in helping us to make decisions, ethical decisions. One of them is the feminist model. This model suggests that the client should be included throughout the process whenever possible, as seen in their 7-step model that briefly talks about recognizing the problem, defining the problem, developing solutions, choose the solution, reviewing the process, implementing, and evaluating. When we make decisions for the client rather than with the client, we rob them of power in the relationship. Social constructivism model. This focuses mostly on the social aspects of decision making. This approach involves negotiating, arbitrating, things like that. Obtain information, assess the nature of the relationship, consult valued colleagues, negotiate when there's a disagreement, respond in a way that allows for a reasonable consensus. Let's close out this chapter by reviewing the author's model of ethical decision making. First, identify the problem. Gather as much information as possible. Clarify whether the conflict is ethical, legal, clinical, professional, moral, or a combination of all these things? Look at the problem from many perspectives. Consult with the client. Identify the potential issues involved. List and describe the critical issues and discard the irrelevant ones. Evaluate the rights, responsibilities, and welfare of all those who are affected by the situation. Review the relevant ethic codes. Does your professional organization offer a possible solution to the problem? Are your own values consistent with or conflict with the relevant codes? You can call your professional organization and seek guidance on any specific concern related to the ethical standard. Know the applicable laws and regulations. Keep up to date on relevant state and federal laws that apply to ethical dilemmas. An example of this is, what is their law on reporting HIV? Obtain consultation. It's generally helpful to consult with a colleague or supervisor to obtain a different perspective on the problem. Ask for feedback. If it's a legal question, seek legal advice. Document the nature of your consultation, including suggestions. You must justify a course of action based on sound reasoning. Consider possible and probable courses of action. Brainstorm. Maybe no actions required. Discuss options with your client. Enumerate the consequences of various decisions. Ponder the implications for your client and others who are related to the client. And lastly, decide on what appears to be the best course of action. Carefully consider the information you've received. Once you've made your decision, do what you can to evaluate your course of action. So take the time now to ponder on the difference between ethics and law. What are your code of ethics, the ones that you're going to follow? Review, just briefly, the ACA 2014 Code of Ethics. That'll give you an idea of what ethical codes look like. Take the time, as per your assignment, to fill out the questionnaire and the self-inventory, 1 through 40. And really think about some of the questions and some of the answers you gave. I want you to do a lot of self-searching and self-awareness through this process. And let me know, did you learn anything new about yourself after you filled out the questionnaire?